The market was dark and crowded. Smoke from burning fires filled the air, and the smell of metal and blood mixed with the voices of buyers. It was a place where lives were sold, and no one cared who cried or begged at the center of the market. A young alien girl stood in chains. Her skin glowed faintly under the dim lights, showing scars from beatings. Her eyes were full of fear. She was small, weak, and tired, but the slavers pushed her forward. The crowd of aliens shouted loudly, making bids. Some laughed cruelly. Others whispered about what they would do to her if they won. She knew the truth. No one came here to save slaves. Everyone came to break them. Her heart beat fast when she saw a human step into the market. He was not young, not old, but somewhere in between. His hair had streaks of gray, and his face looked hard and serious. His clothes were simple, but his eyes were sharp. The girl froze in fear. From the stories she had heard, humans were the worst. Cruel, violent, cold-hearted. They bought slaves, not for work, but for pain. The auctioneer raised his voice. Next, a rare alien girl, young, strong, and obedient. Who will start the bidding? The girl trembled as numbers were shouted. Alien hands lifted high, credits offered, laughter spreading like fire. Then the human raised his hand. The crowd went silent for a moment. A human buying a slave was always trouble. The price rose higher, but the human kept going, calm and firm. His voice was steady when he made his last offer, and the auctioneer hit the hammer. Sold. To the human. Chains were unlocked from the post and placed on her wrists. The girl lowered her head, already crying inside. She whispered to herself, "He will torture me. He will kill me. It is over." The human walked closer, and she waited for the first blow. But it never came. Instead, he spoke quietly, his voice low but not cruel. "Come, you are safe now." The words made no sense. Safe, she did not believe him. No one had ever called her safe before. He led her through the crowd, and the aliens stared at them with disgust and curiosity. She wanted to run, but the chains pulled her along. Her body shook with every step. Finally, they reached his ship. The door opened with a hiss, and the girl was pushed gently inside. She expected a dark cell, a cage, something cold and hard. But what she saw made her pause. The ship was clean, simple, and quiet. No cages, no chains on the walls. A small bed stood in the corner. A table with food sat in the middle. The human walked in behind her, pressed a button, and the chains on her wrists unlocked. The metal fell to the floor. She stepped back, shocked. He pointed to the bed. "Sit, eat. You need strength." The girl did not move. She stared at him, waiting for the trap. Humans were tricksters, she had heard. They gave false kindness before pain. But he did not touch her. He did not raise his hand. Instead, he placed a piece of bread and a cup of water on the table. Then, he stepped back. "You are not a slave here," he said. "You are free." Her chest tightened. She wanted to believe him, but the fear was too strong. She picked up the bread slowly, her fingers shaking. She took a small bite, then another. The taste of real food almost made her cry. The human sat on the other side of the table, silent. He watched her, but not like a predator, more like someone. Waiting, someone patient. After a long moment, she whispered, "Why? Why you buy me?" He looked down, and for the first time, his face seemed heavy with sadness. "'Cause no one else would save you." The words hit her heart. She could not answer. She did not trust him yet. She did not know if this was real. The ship's engines roared as it lifted into the sky, leaving the slave market behind. The girl looked out the small window and saw the ground vanish. Chains, fear, pain. She was leaving it all. But still, her heart whispered doubts. What does he want from me? What price will I pay later? She did not know that this man was not like the others. She did not know that his past was full of pain too, and she did not know that their journey together was only beginning. Hook, for next episode, she thought he saved her. But was it kindness or another trap waiting to open? Asterisk the engines of the ship hummed like a giant heart, steady and strong. The alien girl sat in the corner, hugging her knees, still unsure if she was free or trapped in a new kind of prison. The chains were gone, but fear was still heavy inside her. The human sat in the pilot's chair, hands firm on the controls. His face was calm, but his eyes moved quickly, scanning lights and numbers. Outside the window, stars stretched into long, silver lines as the ship jumped into faster speed. The girl whispered, almost to herself, "Where are you taking me?" The man did not turn. His voice was steady. "Far from that place. Somewhere safe. Safe." Again that word. She wanted to believe it, but her heart did not trust. She had been told all her life that humans used sweet lies. Maybe this was just a longer game. Her stomach growled, breaking the silence. The man stood, opened a small metal box, and brought her more food, warm this time, smelling good. He set it on the table without a word. She looked at it, then at him. "If I eat, you will not punish me." He shook his head. "No punishment. Eat." The girl ate quickly, as if the food would vanish. The human returned to the controls, but then the ship beeped sharply. A red light flashed. The girl froze. "What? What is that?" The man frowned. "Trouble." On the screen, small dots appeared, moving fast toward them. Hunter ships. Slavers did not like losing their property. They were coming to take her back. Her chest tightened. "They follow us." "Yes," he said. His voice grew harder. "Hold on." The ship shook as he pulled the controls sharply. Stars twisted outside. Laser fire flashed, red lines cutting across the dark. The hunters were close. The girl gripped the edge of the seat. Fear screamed inside her. If they caught them, she knew what would happen. Chains again, pain again. Maybe worse. The man moved with skill, his hands fast and sure. He dodged one blast, then another. The ship rolled, metal groaning. The girl gasped when one shot hit, shaking the walls. He cursed under his breath, then glanced back at her. "Do you trust me?" Her mouth opened, but no words came. She didn't know. Could she trust him? Answer. He shouted as another blast rocked the ship. "Yes." She cried, though she wasn't sure. "Good, then do exactly what I say." He pressed a button, and a small panel opened in front of her. Strange controls glowed inside. She stared, confused. "Press the blue when I say." "Only the blue. Understand?" She nodded, trembling. The hunters drew closer, their weapons charging. The man swerved, but they were too many. "Now," he shouted. She slammed the blue button. The ship's rear cannons fired, light bursting into the darkness. One hunter ship exploded. Into fire, she gasped, eyes wide. "Again," he ordered. She hit it once more, and another enemy spun away, broken. Her fear began to shift into something else, strength. For the first time, she was not only a victim, she was fighting back. The human grinned, just for a second. "Good. You're a quick learner." But the hunters were not done. 3 ships surrounded them, blocking escape. The girl's heart sank. The man's face hardened. "Hold tight." He pushed the ship forward, straight at the hunters. The girl screamed, thinking they would crash. But at the last second, he pulled up and the ship rolled between them. Enemy. Lasers struck each other, 2 hunters colliding in fire. Only one remained. It followed close, too close. The man shouted, "Last one, ready?" "Yes," she yelled, her hands shaking. Now, she hit the button. The cannon fired, and the last hunter ship exploded into pieces. Glowing against the stars, silence filled the cabin except for their heavy breathing. The red warning lights faded. The stars returned to calm. The girl stared at her hands. She had done it. She had fought back. The man looked at her, his voice quieter now. "See, you're stronger than you think." Her eyes met his, and for a brief moment, the fear inside her softened. Maybe he wasn't lying. Maybe he really was trying to save her. But then a thought struck her. Why? Why risk his life for her? What did he want in return? She whispered. "Why do you care? I am nothing to you." The man's eyes darkened, shadows of pain in them. "You are not nothing." He turned back to the controls, ending the conversation. But his words stayed inside her mind. Burning like fire, as the ship disappeared deeper into the stars, the girl felt something strange for the first time in her life. Not just fear, not just pain. Something else, hope, but still, the question remained. Was he truly saving her? Or was this just another trap she could not yet see? The ship was quiet now. The stars outside shone like silver dust, endless and cold. Inside, the alien girl sat on the small bed, her arms wrapped around herself. Her body still trembled from the battle, but her mind was filled with new questions. The human had saved her. Yes, he had fought hunters and risked his life. But why? What reason could he have? She had learned long ago that no one gave kindness for free. The man sat at the controls, his back straight, eyes always scanning the screens. He had not spoken much since the fight. His silence was heavy, like a wall between them. At last she whispered, "Who are you?" He did not answer. He only pressed buttons, the lights reflecting off his tired face. The girl's suspicion grew. Perhaps he was hiding something. Perhaps the kindness was only a mask. That night, when he finally slept in his chair, she stayed awake. The hum of the engines was soft, almost like a lullaby. She crept closer, her steps light, and studied him. His face, once stern, was now relaxed. In sleep, lines of pain showed on his skin, carved deep like scars that no blade had made. Then she heard him whisper, "No, leave her, please, not my daughter." Her eyes widened. He twisted in his sleep, face full of grief. "Take me, not her. Don't hurt her." The girl froze. Daughter. He had a daughter. Her heart thumped. She leaned closer, listening to his broken words. It was clear he had lost someone precious. Maybe to slavers. Maybe to the same kind of market where she had been sold. For the first time, she felt something strange. Pity. This human, who looked so strong, carried wounds she could not see. When morning came, he woke and found her staring. His eyes narrowed. "Why are you watching me?" She hesitated, then whispered, "You had a daughter." His face went pale. Silence filled the air. His jaw tightened, and for a moment he looked angry. But then his shoulders lowered, heavy with sadness. "Yes," he said finally. His voice was low, rough. "I had a daughter. Slavers took her from me. I never saw her again." The girl's throat tightened. The truth hit her like a blade. He had not saved her for no reason. He had saved her because she reminded him of the one he had lost. She looked down, ashamed. "So I am only a shadow of your daughter." His eyes lifted, sharp. "No, you are not her. You are yourself. But I could not let them take another life. Not again." His words sank into her heart. For the first time, she believed him. But before she could answer, the ship alarm beeped again. Another signal. Another danger. The man checked the screen and his face darkened. They found us. The girl's chest tightened. The hunters? Again, worse, he said. Someone from my past. On the screen, a larger ship appeared. Its black surface shone like oil, marked with cruel symbols. The girl felt fear crawl up her spine. Whoever they were not simple hunters. The human stood, grabbing his weapon. "Stay here. Do not leave this ship." "Who are they?" she asked, voice shaking. His face was grim. "The ones who destroyed my family. The ones who took everything from me." Her eyes widened. His enemies had found them. The ship shook as the enemy fired a warning shot. A voice crackled through the comms, harsh and cold. "Human, you think you can hide. You think you can steal from us. We will take her, and then we will finish what we started." The girl's blood turned to ice. They wanted her to. The man gripped his weapon tighter. His voice was steel. "Over my dead body?" The girl stared at him. He was not only fighting. For her, he was fighting his own past, his own ghosts. Fear and courage battled inside her chest. She whispered, "If you fight them, you will die." He turned to her, eyes burning with fire. "If I don't, we both die. If I run, they will never stop chasing us. It ends now." For the first time, she saw the truth. This man was not just saving her. He was trying to break free from chains of his own. The girl's fear shifted again. She stood, her voice trembling but firm. "Then I will fight with you." He shook his head. "No, you are just a child." Her eyes hardened. "I was a slave. I know pain. I will not sit and wait for them to take me again." He stared at her, shocked by the strength in her voice. For a moment, silence passed between them. Then he nodded slowly. "Very well. But remember, if you fight with me, there is no turning back." She lifted her chin. "I already have nothing to go back to." The engines roared as the enemy ship drew closer. The human loaded his weapon. The girl gripped the control panel, ready. The past was coming for him. The chains of fear were coming for her. But together, maybe they could break free. Hook 4. Next episode, the man's hidden past has returned, and now both must fight not just for freedom, but for survival. Asterisk, the enemy ship hung in the dark like a shadow with teeth. Its black hull glowed with red lines, and its weapons aimed directly at them. Inside their small vessel, the alien girl and the human prepared for what felt like the end. The girl's hands shook on the controls. She remembered the chains on her wrists, the jeers of the crowd at the slave market, the hunters chasing them. Fear pressed on her chest like iron. The man stood tall, weapon in hand, eyes burning with old fury. For him, this was not only another battle, it was the ghosts of his past. Come to finish him. A voice hissed from the enemy ship through the comms. "Human, you hide behind a child. Hand her over, and maybe we will spare you." The girls' blood froze. They wanted her. Again, always her. But the man answered with fire in his voice. "You took my daughter. You will not take another." Then the first blast struck. The small ship shook violently, sparks flying from the ceiling. The girl cried out and held on to the seat. The man shouted, "Stay with me," and returned fire. The cannons blazed, but the enemy was stronger, larger, and relentless. Another hit rocked the ship. The girl's fear grew into panic. Smoke filled the cabin. Alarms screamed. For a moment, she thought of running, of hiding, but there was nowhere to go. The man moved quickly, repairing controls, firing back, shouting orders. His courage was like a storm, and she realized he was not protecting only himself. He was protecting her. Always her. But when a blast threw him to the floor, blood running from his arm, her heart stopped. He tried to rise, but his body was weak. The girl's mind screamed, "If he dies, I am alone again." Back to chains, back to pain. Her fear turned to fire. She grabbed the controls, remembering his training from before. Her fingers pressed the buttons, and the cannons fired again. One enemy drone exploded. Another spun away. The man looked up at her through pain, surprise in his eyes. She was fighting. She was not running. Together, they fought side by side. She fired, he guided. Each second felt like a lifetime, but slowly the enemy ship weakened. At last, with one final shot, its engines burst into flames. The black shadow fell silent. Drifting away into the void, silence. Only the hum of their damaged ship remained. The girl collapsed back in the seat, shaking, her chest heaving. She could not believe that they had survived. The man sat against the wall, blood on his sleeve, his breathing heavy. He gave her a weak smile. "You did well." Her throat tightened. She whispered, "I thought you would die. I thought I would lose you." He looked at her, his eyes softer now. "I told you, I won't let them take you. Not while I live." For the first time, she felt something she never thought possible: trust. Not the forced kind, not the fake. Promises of slavers. Real trust, born in battle and blood. She crawled closer, helping him with his wound. Her small hands worked clumsily, but carefully. He let her, silent, his eyes watching her with something like pride as she tied the bandage. She whispered, "Why risk so much? Why not leave me? I am only trouble for you." He shook his head slowly. "You are not trouble. You are the reason I still fight. Saving you reminds me that I can still make things right." Her heart ached at his words. She saw now that his chains were not on his wrists, but in his soul. The loss of his daughter, the pain of his past, that was his prison. And somehow, saving her was breaking those chains. Tears burned in her eyes, but she hid them. She had never cried for kindness. Before, that night, as the ship floated quietly, the girl stayed awake by his side. The fear that once ruled her heart had changed. She no longer saw him as a monster, no longer as a stranger. He was the one who gave her food, who freed her chains, who fought enemies stronger than him, who bled to protect her, for the first time. She whispered the words, "Thank you." The man did not answer. He was already asleep, breathing slow and heavy. But the faint smile on his face showed he had heard. The girl leaned back, closing her eyes. Trust was dangerous, she knew that. But it felt warm, like a light in the cold. She was not sure what tomorrow would bring. More enemies, more pain, more battles. But one thing was clear: she would no longer fight against him. She would fight. With him. Hook for next episode, but in a galaxy full of slavers and traitors. Can trust survive when betrayal waits in every shadow? The ship drifted through endless night. Its engines hummed weakly, damaged from the last battle. Inside, silence lay heavy, broken only by the steady breathing of the man and the soft footsteps of the alien girl. Days passed in quiet repair. She brought him water, helped fix wires, and learned how to keep the ship alive. Step by step, she felt her fear changing into something new: loyalty. But space is wide, and safety is an illusion. One day, the scanners lit up. A planet appeared on the edge of their route. Green forests, bright oceans, cities glowing with light. A place of life, not darkness. The girl's eyes widened. Is it safe? The man studied the readings. Maybe. We need supplies, repairs, fuel. We must try. The ship descended, cutting through clouds like silver. They landed near a bustling spaceport. Markets stretched wide, filled with voices and trade. It was nothing like the slave market where her nightmare began. Here, people smiled, bartered, laughed. The girl walked beside the man, her steps hesitant but curious. For the first time, she felt almost normal, like she was just another traveler, not a slave in chains. They bought food, parts for the ship, fresh clothes. The man carried most of the load, but she carried something invisible: hope. Yet hope is fragile. A group of locals watched them. Their eyes lingered too long, their whispers too sharp. The girl noticed but said nothing. She wanted to believe this world was different. That night, in a small inn, she finally laughed for the first time in years. The man told her an old Earth story about stars and explorers. His voice was calm, warm, almost like a father's. She whispered, "I feel safe." But outside their room, footsteps crept in the dark. At dawn, the betrayal revealed itself. Doors crashed open. Armed locals poured inside, weapons raised. Their leader smirked. "You thought you could hide here? We know who you are, human. There is a price on your head. And the girl," he pointed at her, "is worth more than gold." Her blood turned cold. She stepped back, eyes wide. The man pushed her behind him, weapon drawn. His voice thundered, "You sold your honor for coin. Do you know what they will do to her?" The leader sneered. "Not my problem. Business is business." Blaster fire filled the air. The man fought fiercely, but there were too many. They struck him down with electric shocks, his body collapsing. To the floor, the girl screamed, reaching for him, but rough hands grabbed her arms. Chains clamped around her wrists again. The nightmare returned. She cried out, "No, not again." Dragged through the streets, she saw the man unconscious, left behind like broken cargo. The betrayal burned her soul. She had trusted this world, these people, and they had sold her like the others. The locals handed her over to new slavers waiting at the edge of the port. Their ship was black and cruel, its hold filled with cages as the doors closed around her. She felt her chest shatter. Had it all been a lie? Had the man's promise of freedom been nothing but a dream? Hours later, in the silence of the cage, she clutched her knees, tears running down her face. For the first time since meeting the human, she felt truly alone again. But then a sound. A blast shook the ship. Screams echoed outside the cell. Guards shouted, weapons fired. The air filled with chaos. The door burst open, and there he stood, bloodied, bruised, but alive. The human. Her heart leaped. He cut the chains from her wrists, his voice rough but steady. "I told you, we'll never leave you." She stared at him, her eyes wide, her soul torn between relief and disbelief. He had come for her again. He had risked everything. Together, they fought through the ship's halls. She grabbed a weapon from a fallen guard, her hands shaking but strong. Side by side, they struck down slavers, breaking through the cages. Other prisoners rose with them, chains falling, voices crying out for freedom. The human led them to the escape pods. "Run," he commanded as fire spread through the ship. The girl stayed close to him, refusing to leave. "I will not lose." "You," she said. He looked at her, pride in his eyes. "Then we fight together." The slaver ship exploded behind them as their vessel escaped into the stars. Breathless, covered in smoke and blood, the girl stared at the man. Her voice broke with emotion. "Why? Why do you keep saving me?" His eyes softened, though pain still lingered in them. "Because no one saved my daughter, but I can save you." Her heart trembled. The chains on her wrists were gone again. But deeper chains, the chains of fear, were also breaking. She whispered, "Then I will never leave your side." The man nodded once, firm and steady, as the stars stretched before them, brighter than ever, the girl knew something had changed. She was no longer just a rescued slave. She was his partner now. Hook for next episode. But the galaxy does not forgive easily. Even greater hunters are already on their trail. Asterisk, the stars outside were calm, but inside the ship, both the human and the alien girl knew peace would not last. Too many enemies had seen them. Too many slavers wanted her back. And above all, the man's old past still called out for revenge. The girl sat in the co-pilot seat, her small hands steady on the controls. She was no longer the broken slave from the market. She had fought, she had escaped, she had chosen trust. But now, the galaxy itself seemed to rise against them. The man checked the scanners, his jaw tight. They are coming. Dots appeared. On the screen, many dots. Not one hunter, not two, but an entire fleet of bounty hunters and slaver ships. They had united for one reason: to take the girl and to kill the man. The girl's chest tightened. So many, May nodded grimly. This is the final hunt. The enemy fleet spread across the stars, black ships glowing red, surrounding them like wolves around prey. The girl whispered, "We cannot win." The man's eyes burned. "We don't run anymore. We fight." Alarms screamed as the first wave struck. Blasters cut through space, shaking their small ship. The girl fired the cannons, her hands moving fast. Explosions lit up the dark as some hunters fell. But more replaced them. The man flew with sharp skill, weaving between ships, dodging fire. But even his strength could not hold forever. A blast rocked the ship, panels sparking. Smoke filled the cabin. The girl coughed, fear clawing at her chest. Yet when she looked at him, his eyes were steady, calm. "Listen to me," he said over the chaos. "If we fall fighting. Together." Her fear turned into fire. She nodded. Together. The battle raged on. The girl pressed the blue controls again and again, her shots burning through enemy hulls. The man spun the ship, dodging close calls, his hands moving like lightning. But the fleet was endless. Their small ship shook with every strike. Then, from the largest slaver ship, a voice thundered through the comms. "Human, give up the girl, and we may let you live. Resist, and both of you die." The girl's eyes filled with tears. "They want me, always me." The man slammed his fist on the controls. "No, they want power. They want fear. But you are more than their chains." His voice was like iron. "They will never have you." With sudden fury, he dived straight toward the largest ship. The girl gasped, clutching the seat. "Are you crazy?" But then she understood. It was not running, he was striking the heart. Their cannons blazed, tearing through smaller ships. Explosions lit the black sky. The girl fought beside him, pressing controls, guiding weapons. Each blast pushed them closer to the main ship. Enemy voices shouted, "Stop them!" But it was too late. The man aimed directly at the slaver flagships. Engines. Now. Fire. The girl slammed the button, and the cannons screamed. A massive explosion ripped through the flagship. Flames burst across its body, spreading fast. The mighty ship twisted, broke apart, and fell silent. The fleet wavered. Their leader was gone. Panic spread through the hunters. Some fled, some fired. Wildly, some were caught in the blast. The man pulled the ship hard, racing away from the chaos. The girl fired once more, clearing their path. Then silence returned. They had done it. They had survived the impossible. The girl's chest heaved. She stared at the stars, then at him. "We won." He gave a tired smile. "Not won. Survived." Her eyes softened. She realized he was bleeding again, wounds from the fight. She rushed to his side, helping him sit. His hand shook, but his eyes still shone. "You fought well," he said. "Stronger than I ever dreamed." Her voice broke. "I was weak, afraid, but you showed me I could be more." He closed his eyes for a moment. "You already were more. You just needed someone to believe it." Tears burned in her eyes. She held his arm, refusing to let go. For the first time, she was not only free, she was powerful. The scanners cleared. The fleet was gone. The stars stretched wide and empty again. But deep inside, she knew this was not the end. The galaxy would never forgive what they had done. More enemies would come. More battles would rise. Yet she felt no fear. Not anymore. She looked at him, her voice strong. "Then let them come. We'll fight together." The man nodded, his face proud despite his wounds. "Yes, together." As their ship drifted into the quiet dark. Two souls, scarred by chains, one by slavery, one by loss, had found something greater than survival. They had found each other. Hook? For next episode, they have survived the final hunt. But freedom has one last price. The choice between leaving or staying will change everything. The stars stretched quiet and endless around the small ship. Smoke still clung to the walls, scars from the great battle they had survived. The girl sat near the window, staring at the galaxy beyond. For the first time in her life, she was not in chains, but freedom was heavy. It came with choices. The human sat in the pilot's chair, his arm wrapped in bandages, his face pale but calm. He had fought for her, bled for her, risked everything. Yet his eyes were distant, lost in memories of the daughter he could not save. For a long time, silence filled the ship. Only the hum of the engines broke the stillness. At last, the girl whispered, "Where do we go now?" He turned slowly, his voice low. "Wherever you wish. You are free." The words struck her heart like a blade. Free. The dream she had begged for, cried for, prayed for. But now that it was here, it felt strange. She looked down at her hands that once trembled in fear. Hands that now carried strength. Free. Means I can leave. He nodded. Yes. No chains. No orders. Not from me, not from anyone. You choose your path. The girl's throat tightened. She should have been happy, but instead, her chest ached. He was giving her everything, and yet it felt like losing something precious. Later, they landed on a small green world. It was quiet, far from slaver routes, full of forests and rivers. A place where one could start a new life. The human stepped off the ship and breathed the fresh air. He carried a small pack, simple supplies. "You could stay here," he said softly. "Safe, hidden. No one will find you." She followed him, her steps slow. The world was beautiful, full of peace, but she felt no peace inside. "You leaving me here?" she asked, her voice breaking. His eyes were sad. "It is better this way. With me, you will always be hunted. Alone, you have a chance." Her heart pounded. She shook her head. "No, I don't want to be alone." He placed a hand on her shoulder, gentle, fatherly. "You are strong now, stronger than you know. You don't need me anymore." Tears filled her eyes. "But I want you. You are the only one who ever cared." His voice cracked. "If you stay with me, you will always run, always fight, always bleed. That is not freedom." The girl turned away, staring at the forest. Birds flew across the sky, their wings wide and free. She wanted to be like them. But freedom without him felt like an empty sky. Her fists tightened. She turned back to him, her voice fierce. "Then I choose Freedom does not mean leaving you. Freedom means I decide to stay. The man's eyes widened. For a moment, silence hung between them. Then slowly, a small smile touched his face, the first real smile she had ever seen from him. You truly are free, he whispered. Together they walked back to the ship. The girl looked up at the stars, brighter than before. She no longer felt like a slave, no longer felt weak or lost. She had chosen her path, not chains, not fear, not loneliness. She had chosen him. As the engines roared and the ship rose into the sky, the galaxy opened before them, dangerous, cruel, but also full of hope. The human sat at the controls, his face strong again. The girl sat beside him, her voice steady. What now? He glanced at her, pride in his eyes. Now we make our own way. Not slaves, not prey, just free souls under the stars. The girl smiled softly. For the first time, she felt not like property, not like a shadow, but like a person alive, strong, and unbroken. Her journey had begun with chains, with fear of a human she thought was a monster. But it ended with a choice to trust, to fight, to live. She whispered, almost to herself, I was bought as a slave. But I found freedom with a human's heart. The stars swallowed their ship, carrying them into the unknown. Not master and servant. Not savior and victim.